Hi, welcome to the video Spring Authorization Server example with OAuth to grant credentials, grant type, and database users. I am Nam Haming at CodeJava.net. In this video, I'd love to guide you how to enable an authorization server in Spring Security OAuth 2 with OAuth to grant credentials, grant type, and the client credentials or user details are stored in a relational database such as MySQL Server, and default security settings and auto-generated in-memory public and private keys. And you will also learn how to test the Get Access Token API provided by Spring Authorization Server with Spring Boot Test, curl in command line, Postman desktop program, and I will also show you how to decode the issue access tokens in JWT format using an online tool. Throughout this video, I will show you how to code, run, and test a simple Spring Authorization Server with users in database in a Java project using the following key technologies: Spring Boot version 3.4.0, Spring Framework version 6.2.0, Spring Data API with Hibernate Framework for the data access layer, Spring Security 6.4.1, Spring Security OAuth 2 Authorization Server 1.4.0, and the software programs I will use to develop this project are Java Development Kit, OpenJDK, Spring Tool Suite IDE, SDS. Of course, you can use your favorite Java IDE, MySQL Community Server and MySQL Workbench, curl command line tool, and Postman desktop application. Okay, so let's get started by creating a new Spring Starter project in Spring Tool Suite IDE. Go to menu file, new Spring Starter project. Okay, and by default, its type is Maven, Java version 17, packaging is Jar, language Java, and the group ID net.codejava.rest API artifact Spring Authorization Server example, version default. Description: demo Spring Authorization Server with OAuth to client credentials and database users. Okay, click next and select the required dependencies for this project. You can see the Spring Boot version is 3.4.0. Here we need to select Spring Security, Spring Web, Spring OAuth to Authorization Server, and we also need to use MySQL database. So here I search MySQL driver and JPA, Spring Data JPA. Okay, let me check Spring Data JPA, MySQL driver, Spring Security, Spring Web, OAuth to Authorization Server, and we need to use Spring Boot Dev tools for automatically reload and restart whenever we make changes to our code. Okay, then click Finish, and the project is being created as you can see here. It is a Java Maven project. Okay, done. And you can see some generated code. This is a main class. This is a test class. We don't need this test class, so delete. Let me delete this class. Okay, and review the dependencies declaration in this Maven project file pom.xml. As you can see here, Spring Data JPA, Spring OAuth to Authorization Server, Security Web DevTools, MySQL Connector J, Spring Boot Starter Test, Spring Security Test. And before writing the actual code, let's understand some basics about Authorization Server and OAuth to client credentials, grant type. You know the roles of an Authorization Server. It authenticates clients by verifying the client ID and client secret or client credentials, and issues a new access token if the credentials are valid. And Spring Authorization Server uses the Nimbus ZRT encoder to encode and sign issued access token in ZRT format. By default, access tokens are signed using an auto-generated ASCII key pair stored in server's memory. And the OAuth to client credentials runtime is used for REST API security. It is machine-to-machine communication. And in this runtime, refresh tokens are not used because this runtime does not require user involvement. And next, let's configure the Spring application configuration file, application.properties file here to specify data source properties or database connection information. So we need to specify spring.datasource.url is JDBC URL for MySQL server, like this, JDBC : MySQL : // using a MySQL Community server running on localhost. So the host name is localhost, default port number 3306, and schema name is clients DB. So I need to have this database schema created in MySQL Workbench on MySQL server. So I switch to MySQL Workbench here and click this button to create a new schema. Schema name is clients DB with the default character set and collection. Okay, and click apply here to create a new database schema. Apply, close, a new database schema created here. You see clients DB. And then specify username and password. MySQL username, root, and password is password. And for Spring.jpa, I specify this property jpa.hibernate.ddl-auto equal update. So when I code Java entity classes, it will automatically generate the corresponding tables in the database. And the next property is for showing SQL statement in the console. So I set this property to true. Okay, so these are necessary properties for data source. And next, we need to code the data access layer to work with the client credentials in the database. We need to code the client entity class that represents client details such as ID, name, client ID, client secret, scope. And to use Spring Data JPA, we need to define a new interface client repository that extends JPA repository interface provided by Spring Data JPA, and we declare the method file by client ID that will return a client details based on client ID. This method will be used by the authorization server in order to authenticate the clients. And for unit testing, the data access layer, we code the client repository test and write two test methods, test at client and test file by client ID. So come back to the IDE and let's create a new Java class here. The class name is client. It is a Java entity class, so we need to use the entity annotation from JPA and use the table annotation to specify the table name is clients and declare the fields in this entity class that map to the corresponding columns in the database table. The first one is for ID field of type long ID. The second one is for clan name. The third one is for clan ID. Clan name, clan ID, and clan secret. And the last one is for scope or authority of the clan. We just need to use JPA annotations for the ID field to specify it is an ID and generated value with the strategy is identity from generation type. Okay, and generate getters and sets for these fields. So generate getters and setters. Select all. Generate. Okay, so this is the code of the entity class clan that represents clan details. And then try to start the application. Right-click Start to let Hibernate framework generate the corresponding table in the database according to this entity class. Okay, you can see it executed the create table statement here. The table name is clans and the columns here. Let me check in MySQL Workbench here. Refresh. Set default schema and refresh show, and you can see a new table was created clans here. Right click on the table to see its structure. You can see the fields ID, clan name, clan secret, and scope. Okay, so far so good. And next, let's create a new Java interface here. New interface name is clan repository, and its support interface is from Spring Data JPA. For now, let me stop the application. Okay, so we have this interface extends JPA repository, which the type of the entity is clan and type of the ID is long. Okay, and in this interface, we declare a method find by clan ID. It returns an optional object of type clan. Optional from java.ut package of type clan. Find by clan and parameter is string clan ID. Okay, and then to test, we create a new Java class test class here. This should be a clan repository test. It is the Spring Data JPA test, so we need to use the Data JPA test annotation. And we want to work with the real database, so we specify this annotation. Auto configure test database replace equal none to execute the SQL statements against the actual database, not in memory database. And we use the robust annotation false here to keep the data posited by the test. And here we need to have an auto-wire reference of clan repository here. Clan repository report, and code the first test method test at clan. Here we create a new clan object here, new clan equal new clan, and we set the details such as clan name, set clan name, set clan ID. For example, clan -1, new clan, set clan name, for example, John Doe, new clan, set clan secret. Here I use encoded. Clan secret should be encoded in the database for better security, so here I used a password encoder to encode the client secret. Password encoder, new bcrypt. Bcrypt password encoder is the strong password encoder provided by Spring Security. And here I encode string raw secret equal password -1. And here I use the password encoder to encode the raw secret. Encode raw secret. Okay. And then set the last property is set scope read, for example. So we set the details, client ID, client name, client secret, and scope, and then proceed this entity object using the repo interface save method, save new client, and it returns the client object saved client. And for assertion purpose, we assert that saved client get ID is not null, Okay, quite simple. If you are familiar with Spring Data API, you will see this code is quite simple, and run the test to proceed a new client into the database. Okay, successful, and you can see it execute the SQL insert statement. Let me check. Here you see insert into clients. Let me update the configuration file here to format the SQL statement here. So I specify the property spring.jpa.hibernate.format SQL equal to. Sorry, it should be spring.jpa.properties and .hibernate.format _ SQL. Okay, now let me check in MySQL Workbench. Right click on the clients table and select rows, and you can see new row inserted. That means the first client details inserted, proceeded into the database. You can see ID, client name, client secret is encoded using bcrypt algorithm. Okay, so far so good. And let me modify the test to proceed the second client. So I change client ID to client number 2 and name is David Kumar. Secret password 2, scope right. Okay, and run the test again to proceed the second client into the database. Now you can see the SQL statement formatted here, insert into clients table. And let me check here. You see now I got the second client inserted, proceeded into this clients table. And next, let's code the second test method to test the file by client ID method in the client repository interface to make sure that the data access layer is working properly before we enable Spring Authorization server. Okay, so I code the second test here. Test file by client ID. Okay, I specify client ID is client 0 and go repo file by client ID, passing value of client ID. It returns an optional object file result, and we assert that file result is present. Okay, let me run this test, and it will fail because the client ID 0 does not exist in the table clients, as you can see here. Okay, let me run this test. Run as JUnit test. Okay, you see the test fail. Now let me update to clan 1 and the test should be successful. Run again. Okay, it is successful and you can see it executed the select SQL statement here where clan ID. Yeah, okay. That's the code for the data access layer. Next, let's enable Spring Authorization Server. To do this, we need to create a new configuration class and configure a security filter chain. So right-click New Java class here. This class should be Authorization Server config. It is the Spring configuration class, so we need to use the configuration annotation. And to configure Spring Security to enable Authorization Server, we need to declare bin of type security filter chain here. Security filter chain. Security filter chain with parameter is an HTTP security object. HTTP. Okay, and to enable Spring Authorization Server, we use this method HTTP with and then OAuth to Authorization Server Configurer. Server Configurer here. And Authorization Server. This is a new syntax since the version of Spring OAuth to Authorization Server 1.4.0. And for the default security settings, we specify a customizer here dot with defaults. Okay, so this is a code that will enable Spring Authorization Server. Return http.build here and add throws declaration for the method. Okay, so you see this is a code that enables Spring Authorization Server with default settings in the security filter chain. And next, let's write code to configure the Spring Authorization Server to authenticate the clients with credentials in the database. To do this, we need to declare another bin of type registered client repository here. Registered client repository. Registered client repository, and here we specify a parameter of type client repository here to have Spring inject an instance of this interface client repo into this method when this bin of this type is being created, and here we return an anonymous class of type registered client repository. So we'll use this syntax return new registered client repository. Okay, and because we return the new object that is of type registered client repository, so we need to override its methods here, set file by ID and file by client ID. And for the purpose of authentication, we just need to write code, fill the code in this method file by client ID with parameter is client ID. Okay, let me show you how. Okay, so here we use the client repo to find the client by ID, client repo file by client ID, and pass the value of client ID here, and it returns an optional object file result, and we check if file result is not present or is empty, then we return null. Else we get a client object from the result like this. File result get returns the new client object. Okay, and here we return a new registered client object like this. Registered client. Let me change here client in DB. This is the client details. Or just client equal registered client with we specify a random client random ID like this, EU ID dot random EU ID and dot to string, and then we specify set some details dot view. So here we use a return statement. Okay, and here then we need to set some details for this client object. Okay, so we just need to name it as client here. Set client ID is value from this client object, get client ID, and set client name is the value from this client object, get client name, and also set client secret, client get client secret, and set scope is client get scope. Okay, and next we need to set the authorization grant type. This is important to you can see some options here, and here I choose client credentials because I'm going to implement an authorization server for REST API security, so I specify the authorization grant type is client credentials, and client authentication method is client authentication method. You can see there are some options here, and here I choose client secret post. That means it requires the client to send client secret in the HTTP post in the body of the request. Okay, so these are the details we need to set for a valid client if the file result is present. You see, as per the OAuth 2 specification, the get access token API provided by an authorization server must have the following details. The endpoint should be /OAuth2/token. HTTP method is post, and the required parameters are client ID, client secret, and grant type. In case of the client credentials grant type, the parameter grant type must be equal to client underscore credentials. And this is a response body in case of invalid credentials. It is a JSON document that has the field error and the value is invalid underscore client. And this is a response body if the client credentials are valid. It is a JSON document that has 3 fields: access token contains the issued generality issued access token by the server, token type must be bearer, and the token expiration time in the field expires in it is the number of seconds. Here it is about 300 seconds or 5 minutes. Now let me show you how to write some test for the get access token API using Spring Boot test. So under test source package here, let's create a new test class here. I name it as security test. Okay, we need to use the Spring Boot test annotation. So it is a kind of integration test rather than unit test, because this annotation will load the whole Spring container, the whole application. And we also need to use this annotation auto configure mock MVC in order to make to send fake HTTP request. And then we need to have a reference of type mock MVC here, mock MVC. And the first test method test get access token fail. We declare string constant for the access token API endpoint here. Access token endpoint is /OAuth2/token. Okay, and in this test, we use the mock MVC to perform a post request for the given endpoint. Okay, and we specify 3 parameters as per the OAuth2 specification like this, using the param method. The first parameter is run underscore type value must be client underscore credentials, and the second parameter is client ID, and the third one is client secret, client underscore ID. Here I specify an invalid value, for example ABC DEF, and client secret I specify invalid values not in the database. As you can see here, we have 2 clients with these details, client ID and client secret. Okay, and then we expect and do print the details of request and response, and expect status is unauthorized, and expect status is unauthorized. Okay, and finally we expect the response body is the JSON document that has the few errors, so we use the JSON path method here and the expression to check value of the error field in the document, and with value is invalid underscore client. Okay, so this is a code for testing the get access token API. For the field case, we specify invalid values of client ID and client secret in the parameters of the request here. Okay, let me run the test. The unit test. You see the test is successful, meaning that the server returns the status, expects the status for 1 or unauthorized. You can see the details of the request HTTP method post request URI /OAuth2/token parameters grant type, client credentials, client ID, client secret, and you can see it executed the select statement to look for a client in the database, and this is the details of the response. You can see content type application /JSON, and body is a JSON document saying error invalid client. You see that is what we expected in this test case. That means the Spring Authorization server is working, and it refuses resist request to get a new access token. Make sense? And similarly, let's write the second test for the get access token API. For the successful case, we expect that the response body is something like this. In case of client credentials are valid, we expect that it has the field access token is a string, and the field token type has a value bearer, and the field spiced in is the number. Okay, come back to the project, And similar to the first test method, we can copy, paste, and then modify. This test should be test get access token success. Okay, here I specify valid value for client ID, client 1, and password 1. As you see as you saw when I run the test, client repository test, we specify client ID, password here. Okay, and we expect the status is okay, and we expect it has the field access underscore token, and we expect it is a string, so we use the method is string like this. Okay, and we expect the second field, then field spiced in is a number, is number. Okay, and we expect the field token type as the value bearer, token underscore type value is bearer. Okay, so this is the code for the second test get access token success, and let me run it, run as JUnit test. We got an error here, let me check. No password encoder. So that means we need to specify a password encoder in the configuration file here. Here we need to specify a password encoder. Password encoder. We use bcrypt password encoder. Return new bcrypt password encoder. Because when we proceed the client details, we use bcrypt password encoder here. Okay, and run the test again, and this time I think it will be successful. Okay, success. You can see it executed the SQL select statement to file client by ID here, and this is the details of the request. You see post/auth2/token grant type client ID client secret, and the response body here you can see it is a JSON document that has 3 fields: access token, token type bearer, I spiced in 299 seconds, and we can decode this access token using an online tool. So open the web browser, and I use the online tool at jwt.io to decode and encode JWT access token. Okay, so copy the value of the access token field here, copy and paste into this encoded text area here, and you see it is decoded on the right side. Here you can see the information in the header, algorithm, and token type. Payload data is a set of claims. You can see subject, client, -1, audience, that's the same. This is not valid before, this is issuer, this is expiration time, this is issue at time, this is JWT ID. Okay, so you can use this online tool to decode the issue access token by an authorization server. Now let me show you how to test the get access token API provided by the Spring Authorization server using curl in command line. That means we need to start this Spring Boot application to have the authorization server started. You see Tomcat started on port number 8080 with context path is /. Okay, and open a new terminal window on macOS or command prompt on Windows if you are using Windows. And to test the get access token API, use curl command in terminal like this, cur and then dash d, and specify the parameters inside double quotes, follows the d flag like this. Run underscore type is the first parameter, equal clan underscore credentials, and the second parameter is clan underscore id equals clan -1, and the third parameter is clan underscore secret. I specify that password or invalid value. Note that the parameters are separated by ampersand sign, as you see. And then the API endpoint is localhost 8080/OAuth2/token. Enter. And I got the response error invalid clan because I specify invalid clan secret. You can specify the flag -v here to see the verbose output. You can see the details of request here, post, content type, and response status for one unauthorized, response body error here. Okay, now let me specify valid credentials. So I specify clan secret is password -1. Hit enter, and now I got the status to our successful, and the response body here is the JSON document that has 3 field access token type, and I spiced in. Okay, so that's quite simple to test the get access token API in terminal in command line using the curl tool. Make sense? And finally, let me show you how to test the get access token API provided by Spring Authorization Server using Postman desktop program. Here I have the Postman app here, and under a new collection, click Add Request. Enter the request name, for example, test get access token API. The HTTP method should be post, and enter URL localhost phone number 8080, and endpoint of the get access token API is /auth2/token. And to specify the parameters, click body here and click X www from URL encoded, and specify the 3 parameters. The first one, clan type, is clan credentials. The second parameter is clan underscore id value. Here I test the clan 2, and the third parameter is clan underscore secret. Here I specify a wrong value, password 1. Hit send button, and now I got the status for one unauthorized. Body is the JSON document saying error invalid clan here. And now let me update the parameters. Set correct password. Click send again now. And now I got status to our OK, and response body is the JSON document, and the issue access token in the access underscore token field here. And I can copy and decode it in web browser. Copy and paste into this text box to have it decoded. You see subject clan 2, receiver the default context path of the application, expiration time is at. Okay, very helpful, right? Okay, so that's pretty simple, convenient to test the get access token API using Postman desktop program. You see, that's a great example of Spring Authorization Server with OAuth2 clan credentials, grant type, and database users clan credentials in database, right? I hope you found this video helpful. Please subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and share this video. Thanks for watching.